The content discussed in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial or mortgage advice. Always consult with a licensed professional before making any decisions regarding mortgages or financial matters.
Welcome to the Canadian Mortgage Show. Here are mortgage professionals Alex Pang and Alex Shanks to cut through the BS and educate Canadians on all things mortgages and real estate.
Back in the day, when I was younger and you talked about $100,000, you were like, oh my God, I'm wealthy. I'm going to be like, I'm set for life now. The thing with that is, like, if someone gave like you with 100,000 today there, Scott, and Alex and I will answer the question after as well, like, what do you think would be the best spot? And again, it's not life-changing anymore. Like, it's not. It is life-changing for certain people. Like, we can't discount that, but it's not something that's going to make someone be able to retire. Like, if you got 100,000 today, it's not like I can go quit my job.
Welcome to episode 78 of the Canadian Mortgage Show. Alex Pang here alongside my partner in crime, Alex Shanks. Alex, we have a special guest today. We have senior financial planner Scott Grant of the Ridge Planning Group. Scott, welcome to the show.
Well, guys, Alex and Alex, I'm just so excited. I mean, I've seen your programs. They're so informative. So it's exciting to be here today. Thanks for having me as a guest.
Yeah, thank you for coming there, Scott. I'm excited to chat with you about everything, and it's a great thing just for people with everything that's happening out there right now to just go back to some basics, even on some financing. We talk a lot about mortgages and real estate, but it's like that. I mean, everyone in Canada thinks real estate is the only thing. We are going to talk about that, but there's a lot more to finances than that.
Well, that's for sure. And and we all love real estate for what it can do. There are a few stories of where it didn't really work out for people, but for most Canadians, it's worked out really great. Their biggest asset. So glad to be on this topic. Yeah, it's great.
Well, let's lead off here. Let's get elephant in the room out of the way. I mean, was it Saturday that happened? The war in Iran broke out. I was sitting in my bed scrolling Twitter. I'm like, what the heck's going on? All these missiles flying around. And Alex and I, we recorded last weekend, and it was just happening as we were talking about it. How's that kind of rocked your world in your vocation and profession?
Well, I think for a lot of us, there's the human element that's hard to grab a hold of. That's sad, regardless of what we think about governments or anything. There's some innocent people that'll be affected, and that's tough. But in terms of the markets and how it's affecting a lot of people in a very tangible way, we see oil start, spiked. It's gone up. We've seen gold go up again, which is all flight to safety and concerns about oil flow, and so that's affected a lot of different the markets in a tangible way.
Yeah, and that's my biggest fear with everything is oil and gas. Like, that is, we all say other things rule the world, but it is oil and gas. It's going to affect supply for shipping, the costs and everything. And I mean, that's when we go back to like 2022 when Russia and Ukraine started. Also, when that big tanker got stuck in the exact same canal that this is all now happening in, and all the prices skyrocketed there. That's when inflation, it's transitory. Don't worry, it's going to go away. And it's like, ooh, it was not transitory.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you bring up a great point. And that's reason why, many of our clients, we want them to have a good, healthy emergency fund for when things go bad and things you didn't anticipate and you're paying more for something. You do have compound interest helping you with your emergency fund. And so it's growing. And so when these things come up, you can use it to help offset some of these things that are taking place.
And that's the bonds. Like, I was kind of interested to see what would happen. Like, me and Alex, we mostly pay attention to what's going to happen with interest rates and everything that way. So ours is either what the Bank of Canada is doing or what the 5-year bond yield. And it went up, but it definitely didn't skyrocket up. Like, it went up worse back in November, when like the job reports came out there that we had a bunch of jobs. That was actually worse than what it did today.
Right. And the other thing is keeping things in context. Markets have been all-time highs. When you look at oftentimes people would love to know, hey, when can I make the most money? Or I'm getting older, or I've started late, or whatever it is, and they're wanting to know, how can I maximize my gains on my investments? Because there's only so much we can do about our home. We bought our home, we own our home, we're trying to pay down our mortgage as best we can. But hey, what about my RSPs or my TFSA or whatever investments I have? How can I maximize the return on those? And funny enough, it's buy low and enjoy as it goes high. So we've recently had all-time highs, and really this sort of pullback in the market is something that I think I'm relishing, because as it pulls back, it gives time to buy, because you want to buy low. And really for this RSP time, January and February, where we had the March 2nd deadline to buy RSPs for your 2025 tax time, we all kind of had to buy high, or at least we put it in cash. And we're sort of hoping that in the next few months, there'll be time to buy. And maybe this will be it.
And I mean, that's like as you talked there, Scott, before, about the uncertainty times of what is going to affect, like, this is like just mentally and everything in the people. The crappy thing in this is also other people are going to make a lot of money from this. And that is, other people can benefit in it as well. But it's just being calm and patient and everything, and not freaking out. I mean, lots of people think, I'm going to take everything out of the stock market, I'm selling my homes, like it's all over here. And that's where you're trying to connect with people and make sure, like, hey, this is something that we're watching. It's not the end of the world today.
Well, for a minute there, I thought I was talking to Warren Buffett, because that's exactly what he says. Be calm, be patient when everybody else is sort of not. And I think your advice is exactly right. Now is the time to be calm, time to take careful steps. There's no rush for anything. And when you own great assets, like your home, like some investments you may have, now's the time to stay calm and then take some careful steps forward.
Well, it sounds great. You're the Zen master, but I'm sure a lot of our clients don't feel the same way. And they're all like, oh, Scott, what's happening? What should we do? Like, have you gotten an influx of those kind of more people that are living on the edge or have more anxiety that have reached out to you? Like, what have you experienced this week on your end?
Yeah, we have had, a few calls like that. That's, Ali I was talking to yesterday. It was a reminder that, by the way, you have 2 years of income that we've put in guaranteed products that can never lose money, that will gain you interest, and that you're going to live off. So, and by the way, if you look through the stock market's history, we've never had 2 years of any time that we lost money in the market as a whole. So we might have 1 year, but then the next year is up. So I assured her that, this could be the first time, but I kind of doubt it. And I doubt it because there's a lot of money just waiting to go into the market. So that, which gives pressure, anytime the market goes down, you oftentimes see a huge volume of buying.
So what are you kind of advising clients these days? I mean, I'm sure this week has been mostly a lot of calming people down, kind of like, like the sky's not falling, or don't worry kind of thing. Like, is that basically what you're telling most of your clients this week?
Yeah, and now we have to be clear, because many people will be listening to this podcast like I do, and what the context is this is if you have a well-diversified plan and well-diversified investments. Occasionally people don't. They think they have what they think they have, they just don't have. So it's always great to get a second opinion, so somebody can let you know what you own. And that's something we do all the time. We've done for 30 years here, just giving people a second opinion to make sure. But you want to make sure you're well diversified, so what you're saying is true. So we remind people that the people that are taking care of this money typically have 5 to 7 years of education. They've been doing this for probably a couple decades. Their whole livelihood and job is based on performance. So the financial industry is kind of like the real estate industry and mortgage or anything like that. It's all about performance. And the minute you're not performing is probably the minute you got to get a different job. So it can seem cruel, but if you're good at your job, you're diligent, then you'll do fine, and so will the investors. So many people, we use pooled funds for most of our things, kind of like a pension idea. And what we see is, yes, you may have a slight decrease during times of decrease in the market, which would make sense. But as you also see an equally or greater increase in the value as we go forward, where compound interest takes place. So when it comes to downturns, I get totally excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, send money or just stay pat. We're getting rich.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. And we talk about it. If you walk in, me and Alex said this so many times, you walk into a grocery store, you see 50% off and you're like, damn, I'm buying that thing. Even if you don't want it, you're excited for it. And that's where when people see like real estate down, investments down, they're like, no, I'm not buying. Then they see it going up. They're like, oh, it's up 25%. I'm going to buy now. And then it drops again. It's like, you got to take the same mindset of, you want to buy deals everywhere else. You want to do that in investing in real estate.
Exactly. I mean, how many people, one of the questions I get quite often, I'm sorry that you didn't bring it up yet. I'm sure you're going to bring it up, but do we tell our clients to buy real estate? And the answer is yes, of course we do. Yes, I think it's, I own some real estate. I think it's been for most Canadians the best asset they've ever owned. And then working with some professionals like yourself is, yeah, you've got it made. So now, and is now a good time to buy it? Maybe, I don't know. It's like everything else. Let's review your situation. Let's get the other professionals like yourself involved. Let's go over the details and let's see if the numbers add up or not. So is it a good time? It might be the best time ever. I don't, depending on your situation, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing is myself there. So I was like running the numbers saying, hey, does it make more sense to go buy an investment property today? Or maybe should you downsize today? Or should you keep investing that money? And it's so cool that we can work together to run those numbers to prove, hey, you know what? It does not make sense to buy real estate. It is sometimes my favorite thing to say to someone, hey, you know what? It doesn't make sense to buy. They're like, well, what do you mean? You're not going to make money from this. It's like, why would I tell you to buy something that is not going to benefit you? I get one deal out of it and then you'll never want to talk to me again. Like that makes no sense.
Yeah, that's what I really appreciate about working with you guys, that, you get that sort of authentic answer that you're looking for as everybody, has what they're good at. And then we need professionals to help us with the rest. And what we're definitely hoping for is a candid answer because, at the end of the day, we'd like to keep this relationship going for a long time. And so what we need is your thoughtful answer that's full of integrity. So appreciate that.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Alex was saying, right now, like we've been pretty forthright in saying, like, for those of you followers out there listening in Vancouver and Toronto, the numbers don't make sense right now to buy as an investment because, geez, like you're going to be minus, at least $1,000 a month in negative cash flow every single month, and prices are continuing to go down. So, like if you've given us each like $250,000, would we invest in real estate today? Probably not. Alex is in a different territory because on the island somehow it's going up and up and up, and we're like, where the hell is this utopia? But yeah, like baby. Have you noticed like the last couple of years where real estate, it's basically going through like a price discovery, or it's erasing all the COVID gains? Have you seen more people shift their appetite of investing towards the financial markets who historically have been like, heavily real estate? Have you seen that or no?
Well, it's funny that you say that because those type of people, like what I see a lot of times, people have some inheritance came in or some sort of lump sum money in there. They would have typically just bought a condo or a townhouse. And now they're coming to me saying, well, I wouldn't mind doing this, but I'm not sure that the numbers make sense for where I want to buy. And so, what are my alternatives? And so and that's something that we thrive on is here's some options, 1, 2, 3, 4, here's a bunch of options. And then here's some resources that you should go listen to and maybe be helpful as well.
And I'm going to bring this question. We were going to talk about it a little bit later there, but let's do it now. And like talking about inheritances, funds that way, and even getting it, like back in the day, I mean, when I was younger and you talked about $100,000, you were like, oh my God, I'm wealthy. I'm gonna be like, I'm set for life now. The thing with that is like, if someone gave like you with 100,000 today there, Scott, and Alex and I will answer the question after as well. Like, what do you think would be the best spot? And again, it's not life changing anymore. Like it's not. It is life changing for certain people. Like we can't discount that, but it's not something that's going to make someone be able to retire. Like if you got 100,000 today, it's not like I can go quit my job.
Right. So there's sort of two answers to this. So when somebody did come to me recently that had sort of that sort of money, and you're right, it's sort of a conundrum because if it was $1 million or maybe 2 million, you go, well, okay, but this is only
I know. Only though.
Now,
Only.
the funny thing is,
So crazy.
if we put $100,000 cash in an envelope and we put it on the table at your house, you would be like, you'd never forget it. Like it'd be most amazing. Like Alex and Alex came to my house. They gave me 100 grand. They said, "Hey, way to go, buddy," and they left. You would never forget. You'd watch the show for the rest of your life for sure. But but somehow when we get the 100 grand somewhere else, it's like it's not that much money. But really, another way to look at it is, so what if somebody said, "I'll tell you what, I'll send you $500 a month for the rest of your life."
I'm into that. I'll take $500.
Now they won't give me
That's
100 grand.
pretty
But we'll give you $500 for the rest of your life. Would that be helpful?
I think
And then
for majority of Canadians, that is life. I mean, I would say probably 90% of the population that would be life changing. $500 a month.
Right, and what, part of the reason is if you mess up with spending your $500 this month, you know another five's coming next month. Or let's say, really, I've had 2 goofy months. It was, I was stressed out. I sort of went out to dinner too many times or whatever, and that $500 is gone. But, it's the 3rd month. I get another 500. Right. So because most of us are pretty good at handling month-to-month money. We're just not so good when you give us a huge lump sum. So oftentimes when people receive lump sums, we have a program here for our clients that we outline, and we give them the options. But one of the first options we ask them is, what if you have 100 grand, what if you just received, let's say, $500 the rest of your life? Well, what would that do for you? And it doesn't mean we're going to do that. I just want to get the thought out there and let's start thinking. And the idea is, instead of you going to work all the time, what if we just put your money to work like it's little people, and then they sent you their paychecks back, and the paycheck was $500 a month?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think so. And you probably, like, we see it all day and you get to talk to people. It is the basics of financing that actually make people wealthy. It is doing something consistent day over day. It's great that someone might say, I got that 100,000, but if they use it as a lump sum, it's gone. Where if you're like, hey, you know what? You're not going to take money. You're going to keep that $500 that we were going to give you, and you're going to go back and invest it now. And that is where people build wealth.
Exactly. And you see, a few years ago, if you bought a rental at a really great price, and then you had the cash flow, that 500 in cash flow, that's building wealth, right? Totally. That's not available right now, but maybe that's this whole change in what's going on. Maybe it'll become available, hopefully.
I think this kind of is the same comparison to when you have lottery winners. You take the lump sum, you get, 75% of or 2/3 of what the total jackpot is, or you can get that amount paid monthly annualized over 25 years. And I think majority of the time people take the lump sum because it's the whole, what if I get hit by a bus tomorrow kind of thing. And just,
right.
It's very much the consumerism mentality of North Americans and most of the Western world. Like, take it now, life is short, all that stuff.
Isn't there like a thing of like, hey, would you rather have 100,000 or something, or take a penny a day, but it compounds on itself? Most people would be like, I want the 100,000 because they don't understand compounding.
Yeah.
Right. And then the compounding is incredible what it turns out to be. And funny enough, our firm actually has a number of of lotto winners, and all of them still have their money. Usually after 5 years, they don't. But with our firm, all of them that have won the money still have it. And it goes back to having that idea of what if we just use the money to produce income for you as long as you want, whether you want to buy some real estate or buy other things, you can buy whatever you want. But if you don't give up your capital, the capital can go to work for you every day, and then you'll have this money to do whatever you want.
And that's where, like, I'll ask you this, Scott, and this is where I see a bit of an issue here right now for people that are younger and they're starting. I actually have some really like awesome clients, like in this last little month. Like I have two couples that are 20 years old and they're buying homes, which is like exceptional. Like
Wow.
20-year-olds buying homes. The thing when I see those, they're always like, hey, Alex, do you have a financial advisor? Someone, now they don't have large amounts of money today. And we know that obviously, and again, everyone is here to make money, but it's trying to find like the younger people. I feel like there's such a large disconnect, and the banks, we all know back in the day, they provided better service. They don't do now. That's not what they're there for. They're just going to sell products and everything. What do you think is the way to help someone? Obviously, we know, hey, if you came to us with 100,000, it's going to be easier for us to help you. But like, what is the way to help someone that they bought a house and now they have no money and they're going to start saving again? Like, what do they need to do?
Right. Then that's a great thing. And the reality is banks, credit unions they have a lot of great people that work there that have, mean really well, but I think they just have a lot of work to do. And so finding someone who maybe is independent or runs their own financial planning firm, maybe there you have a little bit more time with you. Maybe that's what you're really saying here, because there are a lot of good professionals that work at banks for sure.
Yeah.
But, the banks don't have multi-billion-dollar quarters for nothing. And so that theirs might be some of the issue. And so for someone starting out could be, hey, I just got divorced and I'm starting out. Or it could be I'm a young couple, or, lots of times in our life we draw a line in the sand and we're starting out again. And the nice thing is there are some basic things that you can follow and do. And I think, like for young people in particular, the one thing that you have that some of us don't have as much anymore is time. And when you think about it, when you're trying to become financially secure and buy your time back, because that's really what you're doing. When you have enough money, then you can decide whether you want to go to work or not. It's the money times the rate of return times the time. And if you're younger, you have way more time. So if you strategically invest, that compound interest can be like a snowball at the top of Whistler and then heading all the way down. It could be gigantic as it gets near the bottom. So being further along in your life. So I look at those people, and that's what I remind them of, that you're a very valuable client to anybody because you have this time on your side.
And that's where it's trying to find those right people. Some people are like, hey, I only take clients that have $2 million. I won't even talk to other people. And it's like, hey, great. Like if that's what you specialize in, we all have to give our time. And again, people that are lower, the time to work with them is the same as someone more wealthy. We all know that. And so obviously you're going to make a better return, but it's seeing the people that are actually going to keep doing and building more. That's like some of my favorite stuff, is seeing someone buy their first home and helping them that way. But it's showing people just minor budget tweaks. Like last week I had 10 different calls with people and they're wanting to buy their first homes. I said, hey, show me what you're paying in rent today. And they're like $2,000. And I was like, okay, your guys' monthly cost is now going to go to $3,000. They're like, whoa. Said, so for the next 3 months, you're going to pay your $2,000 in rent and you're going to transfer $1,000 to another bank account. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you're going to feel what it feels like to own a house. That's going to actually show you what your budget is at the end of the month. Do you have money left over? It's like, holy shit, I got nothing left. Qualifying is like just only one part of it. Are you actually putting money away for investing? Or are you just trying to live and now you can't even go on a vacation?
Brilliant. I love that strategy. That's great. And because, they've done studies and people often, again, ask, what are some strategies I can use to have more money? And so one of the ones that's very common, whether you're retiring or you're younger and trying to accumulate money, it's the same thing. They've done a study and they figured out and this comes out of what they call the lactate factor study, which found that people who drink lattes typically don't drink one latte a week. They drink more. And this can accumulate. So, and what it morphed into is people who know where their money goes on a monthly basis, which is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Then they typically have way more money than other people who don't bother. And it's because when you don't really realize where your money's going, which is usually your spending that's outside of necessities.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how much groceries, your rent, whatever, they can tell you. You say, well, how much did you spend on having coffees and anything else outside the home? No idea. They couldn't tell you. So, and that goes for most of us, unless you spend a month or you take a month's worth of your receipts, or typically you and I would take our bank account and our Visa and look it over, and then we'd do that and we go, oh. And yeah, I remember years ago, I couldn't believe how much coffee I drank outside the home when I first became a financial planner. And this was an exercise we had to do as a financial planner. And I would have sworn I didn't drink any coffee outside the home. But, as I go take a drink of water here, you can go, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
I know my crutches. It's for me. It's food. I know where my expenses are. It's eating out, and that is a time thing. That's I've decided that my time is worth more than me trying to cook food, because I'd rather spend time with my family and working. And so that's why I might go get a breakfast sandwich instead of trying to make it, because that is 30 minutes of time that I won't get back.
Totally.
I do have one small rebuttal on the coffee thing. For all three of us, we are self-employed. The coffee is a networking tool, so it is a business expense for us, right?
Every time I go, I'm having a meeting. I'm on the phone. That's what that.
And you know what? My rebuttal too is the coffee is cheaper than going to lunch. So I'm like, okay, we'll have as many coffees as you can to reduce the lunches.
Right.
That's true.
That's very smart. You see, for all those entrepreneurs out there, let's be more like Alex.
Yeah.
One thing that Alex brought up too with like newer clients, are you finding the mentality of newer clients these days that come into your office, Scott, is different than, let's say, 10, 20 years ago? Is their mentality different? Is their upbringing different? Is their financial literacy different than before? Like what's changed over the years?
Oh, well, the big change is, they'll go on AI and get an answer to something, then they'll come and ask me. And which is great. I think that's a great way to go. I think it's good to educate yourself as much as possible. And one of the things has changed. So when somebody asks, and usually they can't help it, but they feel kind of smug because they know the answer to the question they're going to ask me. And which is great, by the way. But one of the things I remind them of, which I like about you guys as well, is that you have the experience, and I have the experience of working with many different people, and there's many different situations. So what AI doesn't pick up is those memories. Now, if it could do, then it would be absolutely incredible, but it doesn't have those. So there's what the textbook says. It's what books may say. It's what may be online through different articles and stuff, but it doesn't, read Alex and Alex's minds or Scott's mind and then take those really invaluable situations that we've been through with clients and be able to tell an answer to a question to the next client, the new client. When they ask a certain question, we're like, well, really you could do this, which is basically what the textbook would say. But actually what I've learned is blah, 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 blah. Because we all know there's life and then there's life. Like there's what the textbook says, and then there's real life, what we could practically do. Like Alex said, hey, you can buy a coffee, but you could network. I mean, how many times you met someone, you're just out, you start talking to someone, all of a sudden they're, hey, well, that's interesting. I need a mortgage, so you're the guy. Okay, perfect. Or with me, it's oftentimes people are like, oh, I was just talking to my wife about we need to review stuff and we need a guy. Okay, well, perfect. That's what we do. We're happy to review it. We do that complimentary.
Yeah, that's we had it down here, but again, let's jump into it. Like, obviously for AI in the world that we're talking here, and I love it. Like, I do a lot of videos for clients there, Scott, and like, I know they'll throw the video into AI and then it'll come out with questions. And again, the problem with AI right now is our mortgages across the world are all completely different. and you can tell it to like only focus on Canada so much, but it starts to leach out, and it always brings back like US stuff, which is completely different. Again, I love it. Like I will never, like, if you tell me something, Grant, I'm going to go research it as well. Like that's just my like human nature, but you want to have someone that can help connect and bounce those ideas back. And that's where like I say AI definitely like disrupting our types of industry. Like there is no doubt in it, but it's not going to take it away. It's going to increase speed and efficiency, but I'm never going to go to a robot and say, hey, should I invest my money in the stock market today? Should I go buy a house? I might get it to run scenarios for me, like, but I want a personal connection. I want to know, hey, Scott, what did you do back in 20 years ago when the stock market was down? Did you buy or did you buy like what? That's what people are going to want. Now, the only way it's going to make it is if the cost difference is so large. Let's say they could get a mortgage from me and Alex, and using us, maybe it's going to cost 1% higher in interest rate. Now, the bank, maybe they've figured out AI so smoothly that, hey, it can be % difference or even lower, 2% difference. Well, hey, money will talk in that scenario. And that's where you have to provide value to people. Like you have to show them that, hey, I am worth something here. And I'm not just getting you a mortgage. I'm helping you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I would say I can still remember talking to Alex the first time. And, probably like a lot of people, I sort of thought, I think I know about mortgages. And, I feel kind of bad now saying it but I was like, yeah, this guy's going to tell me nothing because I kind of know. And then as I talked to him, I was like, oh my gosh, I really don't know. And inside, I never told him then, but I was like feeling really kind of ashamed thinking I knew probably what everything, and he was like totally schooling me on this is how you got to look for this and this and this. And I was like, I didn't even know those things existed. And it was like, wow, okay. So yeah. So that's what I really appreciate about what you guys offer, that there's things that, even people like me that are in the financial industry, I don't do mortgages necessarily. So I don't deal with all these little details that really AI didn't tell me. They didn't say, oh, by the way, did you look for this clause? I didn't even know there was such a clause that was even there. You know what I mean? So that's what I think that's reasonable and great about working with people like you guys. And I think that's what they find about working with me as well. There's lots of things that people just don't know, like little details that's not common out there, that when they find out, they're like, oh, I didn't even know that's how it worked. Oh, absolutely. So that's, in a sense, that's how the rich get richer, because they typically work with professionals like me or like you guys, and we let them know about the little details and little nuances that can really make a huge dollar difference for them. And that's why just holding out the lollipop of we've got the lowest cost rate can be kind of like the lost leader at a supermarket, where you got to go to the back to get the milk that's so cheap, but then you buy all these things on the way back. That makes your grocery bill way higher. You never see somebody come out with just a jug of milk, do you?
Costco sucks at every single time.
Isn't that right? You're like, I can't believe how much money I just spent, right?
Oh yeah, I've learned the biggest mistake is don't be roaming the aisles at Costco. If you're gonna go there, follow the list, get the hell out. Don't have to this, oh, look at this, look at that. Oh, let's try out these free samples. Like, shoot, now your bill's like close to $1,000.
Right.
So Scott, hey, I didn't prompt you to this, but if you're publicly apologizing to something, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But something you kind of mentioned too about like AI, and this kind of segues to the kind of the similar topic too, like the do-it-yourself investors, like using Questrade, Wealthsimple. They're very good institutions, and especially disrupting even the bank space, and we love them for that. Do you kind of tell people the same thing who ask your advice and trying to say, oh, well, I do it myself through Questrade, Wealthsimple, I don't have to pay a management fee? Do you give them the same answer as you would typically if someone used ChatGPT for investing advice?
Well, yeah, here's I can tell you, I feel very badly for people who do their own work. It'd be like doing your own surgery. And you'd say, well, that's ridiculous. No one will do. Well, and unfortunately, I have so many examples where people have literally lost $1,000, $10,000, 100,000. Like 100,000 people lose all the time. I've had people literally lose $1 million, and it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the platform. These platforms are great. They even offer some portfolios and stuff that you could use, which is great. But a lot of people, they get caught up in buying their own things. And here's the problem. They don't, if you want to buy and sell your own investments, then show us your investment statement. Like your process, exactly what you're going to do. You're going to buy XYZ. You're going to keep it for how long? Like, is it forever? But typically people are buying and selling. So they buy this thing because my friend said to, then later on. And in this one case, there was a person who told me they invested in this ETF, and this ETF tripled. So you'd think, well, they should sell it now. Well, before they sold it, because they were going to be so wealthy, they bought a brand new truck, paid $115,000 for it, took a European vacation that I don't even know what that cost, but it was not cheap, and didn't sell the thing. And then we're well on vacation. So by the way, if you're going to go on vacation and whatever you own, it like one of these ETFs is not a stable thing, then sell it before you go and buy it back when you get back. Anyway, the person did not do that. This thing literally went from millions of dollars to $3,000.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the worst part. Like, who cares about money, for one thing? But the issue was the person ended up going into the hospital and needing mental health support. Like, that's how bad it got. A person who was just like you and me, just like many of the listeners, but then now because they were so sick over what happened. But when talking to this person, you realize there was no process the person had in place. You need to have a serious process. And so people make jokes about mutual funds or all these things. No, they're run by professionals. What you have to do is, the best ones in Canada, literally, well, like last year, there was many mutual funds who made over 100% in a year. It might not be the one you own, might not, but if you made 100% a year, that means you doubled your money.
Yeah.
So, but you didn't have to do anything. You just had to buy it and let the manager do its own work. So anyway, this doing your own stuff is good. And for like a lot of older people, I say you should have your own little account, buy some of the, and put, some money that you don't care about in there, put the rest in something safe, like with me. And I just say, or any advisor like me that can help you manage it and manage the risk. And then be as risky as you want with this other account. And it'll be fun, because then every day you're going to get up. And I know some people that like to do it. They get up every day because they're retired, and they look at their stuff and they talk. And they bought this or that or whatever. And they talk to a friend about it. So that's great. That's healthy. But some of the younger people, you've got to think about this a little bit. This isn't, you need a serious process to do this. And maybe, and
Well,
you need to
like you said, Scott, it needs to be your job. And that's like, I'll say I did used to do a lot of my own investing as well, but I was going to be a day trader. I traded for an entire year with paper money. I proved that I could do it. And then COVID happened, and I was like, no, this is all, there's no fundamentals left. I ain't doing it. But I said to myself, Alex, if you can prove you're profitable after 1 year of doing it, okay, we'll do it. But that's I lived and breathed it. That's all I did. When I started doing mortgages fully, I don't have time to be looking at. I would forget to do my auto transfer for my dividends. I'd forget to buy stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing, Alex? Like, I'm leaving hundreds and thousands of dollars on the table trying to save 0.5%. I'm like, this is not smart. And so it does come down to a time thing. And that's where a lot of people think, even, hey, I'm gonna redo my brakes myself because it's gonna be cheaper. Well, if it's gonna take you away from doing other jobs, well, it's actually gonna cost you more money. Now, if you can do it and not affect your other job, then amazing. And that's where, even talking about investing, a lot of people are like, I'm going to invest $50 a month and I'm going to become rich. $50 a week. It's like, you know what? take that money, go learn a new side job and go make more money. Actually go and do something that's going to make you $2,000 a month, not just go and invest $50, because that's not going to make it or break it.
Yeah, I love what you just said. Yeah, couldn't say it better. Yeah, it does take a commitment for sure. Yeah. And by the way, if somebody wants to do it and they're going to do it, just great. But what the issue is too many times I have people coming in my office telling me how they lost money. And when you lose money, what my concern isn't about the money at all.
Yeah,
Most of the time, the mental state that people are in, it just robs them of their humanity. And it
I
just
get scared of,
their,
and you've probably seen it, Scott, is, I mean, it's pretty much gambling. It's the options tradings and stuff of these platforms of, hey, you got $5,000 in there. Well, we'll let you margin that to 100,000. And
Right.
hey, you're going to sell it, or learning how to short a stock. And people don't realize that, hey, yes, can you make a lot of money shorting it? But when that number keeps going down, you're going to owe that money over and over and over and over again. And that's like, those are where, and I mean, did you ever, like, you probably like heard about all the stuff that happened with Robinhood and like
Yes.
GameStop with all that? Like, that was wild.
GameStop.
right?
Just insane.
Incredible. Now, here's another thing that people never think about, and since we're talking about, bring it up. For instance, the guy who lost this money I'm thinking of, but this happens to lots of people. By the way, if you're going to do this stuff online, do it in an open account. Don't use your TFSA and don't use your RRSP.
Yeah.
And we know why. The reason why is because you can't write off losses.
Yeah.
Because you might have losses. In fact, 90% of people who trade lose money at one point or another. So it's not if you're going to lose money, it's when you're going to lose money. So if you're going to lose money, which means it's a capital loss, you may as well have that, because then it'll help with your capital gains, because I think probably you're going to have some gains as well. That's why you're doing it. So since you're going to have capital gains, you need capital losses to write them off against. So you do that in your open account. With your RSP and your TFSA, it's got to be in something that doesn't lose money, because you can't write off those losses. So it's a complete waste of time to lose that.
Or even then you get the people that are day trading in their TFSAs, and then CRA comes knocking and saying, hey, you made money in your account, and hey, you're getting taxed on that now.
Right. There's another good point, because you can't make income in your TFSA. That's a tax rule. You can put money in it. Like, so somebody could buy a stock and leave it there for a long time and not day trade. That's one thing. But like you say, day trading is they don't like that, because they consider that income. And so you don't allow it. So great point.
Scott, we're running short on time, but there was a question I wanted to ask you. We're taking a little left turn here from the topics we discussed. Is, you do estate planning, and I'm a little bit older than Alex, but I'm at a place now in my life where parents are aging, and we talk about, what to do with, or parents doing with their homes and stuff. And I'm hearing oftentimes that parents add their children to title so they can avoid probate when they eventually pass. Is it something that is advisable? Why or why not? I hear the debates, pros and cons about it. Like, what are your thoughts on that, doing that way?
Well, we all love the idea of saving money on taxes, for sure. And probate is considered a fee, not a tax, but it's semantics, right? It's, potato. So, and lots of people ask me the same thing. The reality is, as soon as you add someone to your title, one thing people don't consider is, what if their spouse became a drug user and then bankrupted them, and then the bankruptcy could extend to the house, because now your child is married to this person and they're all out of money, and the creditors go, oh, but there's a house here that has this person on title. So suddenly now your house is at risk. So that's the number one thing, just the practicality of now there's a liability issue. But you say, well, listen, my kid is single, they have plenty of money, I that's not a concern. There's also these other issues that come up. Now, first of all, I would say I like the idea of it, because I love any way you can save yourself some money. So this is a great idea, but oftentimes people don't want to report or declare to the government about this. That's an issue. The other issue is from the date your child goes on the house to the date of your passing, there will likely be an increase. So your child is supposed to report this tax increase and pay the tax on it. And if you
Like a
ask
capital gain, right?
100%, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do they do this? No. And maybe it's even, they don't even realize this. This is part of the issue. But the problem is if CRA realizes this through an audit, then you're looking at a lot of money. Yeah. The other thing is people sometimes think, well, let's put it in a trust. And actually that's a great idea because if you're over 65, you could put it in an alter ego trust and it's a tax-free rollover as well. There's nothing to worry about. And, so you could do this, but what they're not really thinking about is, well, now every year a trust is a separate entity. So now you got to do a trust tax return every year for this trust. Now, if you're a wealthy person, maybe that extra fees of filing his taxes doesn't really matter. But not all people that are retired are wealthy. So if you're trying to save money on probate, you might be, going a little too far with the trust because you end up paying more money. Now, when the trust does its trust return, everything inside the trust is taxed at the highest marginal tax rate. So now you went from whatever your tax rate is, especially if you're retired, could be 20 or 30%. Now it's up at like 50%. So, and then people are like, whoa, now I'm paying more tax. What happened here? So you're trying to get rid of this 1.4% BC fee. And depending on where you are in the country, whatever that is, but here in BC, 1.4, you better do your math because maybe it's not really worth doing a trust just to have this sort of convenience of not
I love
probate.
that, Scott. Like it's so even people that want to make businesses and stuff, they're like, I'm going to make a business so I pay less in taxes, but they suck every single dollar and cent from it. And it's just like, so you've just cost yourself $3,000 a year in extra accounting fees for no reason.
Exactly. Yes. You definitely want to be making between 100,000 and 200,000 of revenue before you do it because there's all these expenses that no one thinks about or talks about. But you're right. Yes. No, you couldn't be more right.
Yeah. So like basically what I'm hearing from this is it's more trouble than it's worth to save that 1.4% because so many things can go wrong. Marriage breakdown, even siblings disagreeing. And, like when it comes to, they don't know what to do with it and all that stuff. You're just better off paying that 1.4% and be done with it because everyone wants a piece. It's probably not worth it, right?
Exactly. It's not a widespread answer. It's more of an answer for maybe someone with a bit more money and because it's going to, all these other costs involved. It's a costly thing. And like you say, so, but also the loss of control because it'll go from your hands, you owning it, to now a trust owns it. Now you don't own it anymore. So you've lost control. And so this is an issue as well. Now, maybe you want to do that because you have some other concerns. And that usually is with more affluent families that are worth in the, tens of millions.
And that's like, and Scott, I'm going to ask you, trust, they have to roll over. Is it every 10 years or 15 years?
Yeah, you're right. There's the rollover and it's a 21-year rule.
Okay.
And that's, I didn't bring it up, but because there's a lot of things, but
yeah, there's so many, but that's where again, everyone they think they're sheltering. It's like you are going to pay taxes at some point. Like we're just never not going to get rid of taxes. It's just trying to defer them. It's trying to limit the amount. And that's where again, I find trust is such a fancy word that people think, well, the wealthy use it, I need to use it. And they try and do it at like, maybe they're only making $200K a year. And they're like, I'm going to make a trust for my family. I'm going to put this house in here. I'm like, you've just cost yourself so much money on legal and accounting fees that this has no benefit to you.
Right. And now if you promise to die within 21 years, you're good. But if somehow you live longer, and by the way, I had a client where she thought, I'm going to die at 90 for sure. She lived to 108.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. She was in the newspaper at 100 and everything else. And every year they'd have a picture of her at 108. So you don't know how long you're going to live. So this 21-year rule could be very expensive for you, as you both brought up.
Right. Well, Scott, we're running really short on time here. Thank you for coming on. Where can people find you?
Well, you can go to our website at Ridge Planning or Ridge Wealth, RIDGEWEALTH.com. Go to our website And we're on LinkedIn. You can look up Scott Grant on LinkedIn. And or I'm sure just get a hold of you guys. You have my contact information. Everyone loves talking to you. I do. Our team does. We really appreciate all the stuff you guys do. And thanks for having this podcast, because it just gives so much information for so many Canadians. Really appreciate the hard work you guys put in.
Appreciate you coming on here, Scott. It was amazing talking to you, and I could sit here all day and talk to you about stuff.
Yeah,
Scott, I'll pay you for that free plug later.
right? Yeah, checks in the mail. All right.
Well, folks, this has been Scott Grant, Senior Wealth Planner for the Ridge Planning Group. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow us. Please give us a 5-star rating. You can even send us an email, because we want to know what you guys want to hear about. That's what we're here for. Reach out anytime.